you found them very insightful. And we have exchanged a lot of knowledge as intended for this program. So I would like to welcome our moderators for the session. They are going to coordinate the reporting back from the breakout session, the key issues that we discussed, and maybe some of the strategies we can use moving forward in strengthening innovation capacity in Africa. So I would like to welcome Dr. Danica to the podium and Dr. Luis Mira. They've been wonderful coordinators from day one, and I think they have so much to synthesize and share with all of us. I would like to also hand over this floor to Dr. Danica, and she's going to call all the representatives or the speakers who will be reporting back on behalf of the various breakout sessions we had today. So over to you, Danica. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. So I would like to invite, we have 3 sessions of obviously 3 groups. Professor Avandare Gordon was our host today for the health center. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe we'll be the 2 of us will be the first people to report back. And then our colleague Luis was in Waki, with Professor Dangwa, and then we will have his colleague who will be reporting back from the meeting in Waki, as well as we have David. Where is David? I see him over there. He will report back what happened with the ICT computer department. So maybe if you don't mind to join us here. Professor Dankwa, maybe you can join us just for fun. Yeah, okay. So we will be actually, I envision this to be interactive because our centers, at least I can claim the ones who visited Professor Avandare's lab, were very much impressed. And I would like to briefly summarize what you told us, and then maybe you can add to it or reflect on it. So key things we learned from Professor Avandare and in his strategy in running his center was that he had 2 things in mind: to attract top talent, top talented people, world-class talent, and have competitive environment in the center, which included good equipment and good decent salaries for people to come back. Obviously, one thing that was rather impressive was that the center is self-sustainable, and with the 70 staff members and 100 fellows you mentioned, everybody is encouraged to write grants, and people do have a very good, well-established team who helps in grant writing. So obviously this is a very, very important thing. Each scientist, and I also like the fact that you mentioned to us, which I'm sure others will share as well, that you give young people their own independence, which I consider extremely important in the settings like this. You could be traveling, you could be, on vacation or whatever, but nothing stops. So fellowship program you mentioned also, it's very important. So students are key. And one thing it caught my attention was the fact that you mentioned that your junior faculty could use students to help them in their laboratory work and in grant writing, which I consider extremely important. Then we talked about DLR 5.3. The fact was, obviously, it wasn't nothing magical, but obviously you found that some of the parts that you could use it for your benefit. Your deputy gave us a very good short overview on what was essentially done in your center related to DLR 5.3. He talked about boot camp. Peter did about venture program. Obviously, one thing at University of Ghana reflects that the venture program for students that we heard from your VC initially, and the thing that we heard from you on a boot camp, I consider that important because young people obviously got award through competitive process, and each got $5,000 if I remember well, to do their project. We also heard about commercialization plan and then also sustainability plan of the center. So this is like kind of what I have captured from our discussion, and maybe you could add a little bit if you would like to.
No, I think you captured everything. The summary is that for us, sustainability means quality of science, quality of people, quality of the environment. That's how we are sustainable, because we rely on competitive grants, first of all, then commercialization of our facilities to complement the grants. So you have to stay on top of the science in order to be competitive. So that's really our model. So we invest in people. We attract the best scientists to come and work there. And that's how we are going to be sustainable. Thanks.
One thing I would like to add, I mentioned this to Professor Avandare, coming from Croatia and knowing very well European landscape, centers of excellence in Europe received funding 10 years back, and not too many of them are sustainable. In my country, almost none. So what you guys are doing here is really to be complemented hugely. And I would also like to say, you guys, our centers here, were very much impressed with Dr. Yao Bendiako, who presented his Yamachi program. He comes from Professor Avandare's center, and he's still very much linked to the center. So just to remind everybody. Okay, now, do you guys have any comments? I would like to challenge centers from health. Do you have any comments or reflections that you would like to share? Anybody? Okay, come on. Wake up. They ask a lot of questions during the visit, but okay. Then we can go to Luis. Tuvaki, yeah. You have a question? Yeah, Professor Gaji. Ushers, please, yeah. Mike. He's good.
Yeah, I think one of the key learnings I had from a visit to his site was the fact that he was able to tell us, very basic fact about his trajectory, from when they started 10 years ago, and we saw the aspiration. And for us, we gained a lot, not just on the quality of science, people, and environment, but for the fact that, our best appears to be yet in the future. We start with what is, everybody's grappling with the fact that, what happens next? But for them, it was to get more things going, and we were challenged, by that aspiration, such that we will be looking at the bigger picture, which we believe the future holds for every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have a question from, please. Does anybody, can you please, take the microphone?
So I went for the ICT, STEM, and energy session.
But we can talk about that in a minute. So
Okay.
now is health.
Health, okay.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So is there anybody else for health? If not, I'll pass the mic to you on Waki. Would you please come? Yeah.
Thank you very much. So basically for us at our session, What we started with was a presentation by the founding director of WACI, Professor Eric Dankwa. And the WACI story, we believe, is hinged on the impact we have made through our alumni network, who continue to contribute to strategic conversations around food security and climate change, as well as nutritional security, while delivering innovations to the hands of farmers across the continent. Basically, at WACI, what we believe is this: training Africans in Africa for Africa, and that is our mantra. Based on the experience that was shared by WACI, there were so many conversations about some of the challenges, but basically what we focused on was how did we get to where we have got to and what can we do better. Some of the things that we discussed include developing a holistic approach to solving the challenges along the agricultural value chain. And this we can achieve through strategic collaborations and partnerships that encourage knowledge transfer and the development of new innovations. Another thing which we have heard commonly so far is investing in people. We have to continue to invest in building quality education through people. We have to build the capacity of the young generation of scientists and create a thriving environment that retains them and allows them to contribute to food systems in Africa. Also, as centers of excellence, we cannot work as silos. We cannot be alone. We need to broaden the scope of implementation by working with the universities that we find ourselves in. And we also need to work using the consortium approach. How do we build strategic partnerships amongst the centers of excellence to be able to deliver the innovations that are key to ensuring that food security is solved in Africa? And that is very paramount to the work that we do as centers of excellence. There is also the need to hire international faculty. So just like Prof. Awandari said, top talent. How do we get top talent into the centers of excellence to train our scientists who would also train other scientists? And this we can only do through the creation of an endowment fund. An endowment fund is very critical to be able to do the things we do at centers of excellence, to be able to support international faculty to thrive in our environment. And this we cannot do alone as centers of excellence. We also need the buy-in of the government in our various countries to be able to support this endowment fund. A vision with a strategic plan without a leader that is passionate about impact and result is a failed one. We all realize that key to our development as centers of excellence is leadership. Leadership and commitment. Lastly, some of the things we talked about was about visibility and communications. How are we telling our stories as centers of excellence? How are we bringing the spotlight on our activities in our various centers to encourage collaborations, to encourage partnerships, to spark the needed conversations that need to be had to ensure that we have the needed support to thrive as centers of excellence? How are we making our centers visible? I'm going to leave with these last words. The acronym, LIVE. We always talk about living, but LIVE. LIVE, L stands for leadership. I, impact. V, visibility. E, engagement through strategic collaborations and partnerships. So let's live as African Centers of Excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I realize why Eric delegated you. Congratulations. Luis, you would like to add something at this point, please? Okay, so she put it so well that even Luis doesn't want to add anything. That was great. Do you guys who visited Professor Dangwa's lab have any questions, comments, or something that you would like to say at this point? Yeah, go ahead. Mike, here they come.
So I just wanted to add that if after 17 years you cannot leave behind people who are better than you, then you have failed. And I want to showcase the talent that we are leaving behind as we plan the next level.
Like it.
Yeah. So
You know what?
that is what we want to do better, leaving behind the next generation of scientists who can innovate and take Africa forward.
You know, I fully agree, Dr. Dankwa, with you. I mentioned to Professor Vandare earlier, what is impressive about leadership in both of your cases, and I'm sure that other colleagues here share the same vision, is the fact that you invest in young investigators and you invest in Africa future in a way that you are investing in developing top scientists and top talent. That was extremely important. And to be honest with you, sometimes you don't find that, you know, in every country or in every setting, but University of Ghana, you should be commended for that. Now is David, who is going to report back on what they have done with your visit in Computer Sciences Department. Please, David.
Thank you. What our session was about was to look at what we have in STEM, STEM. So we looked at science, technology, engineering and mathematics, as well as the ICT. We congregated in the Department of Computer Science, and we looked at two different areas. We looked at the cybersecurity and networking laboratory, which is a virtual reality lab, where there's a lot of training and a lot of partnerships that we found that takes place in that group. There is also industry and academia partnerships that are very strong, especially with Cisco, with IBM, with Huawei, helping in that project. It also demonstrated the funding opportunities that these companies were doing. They were giving as much as about 30 students that have been incorporated into these partners and work opportunities that have come in. At the center, we also looked at capacity building. Basically, it was involved in capacity building, and a lot of the participants had opportunities to collaborate with this center for the training. It's one of the training centers across in the sub-region. We also learned about possibility of having certifications and continue to do training across. We also looked at the software lab. In the software lab, there was a demonstration of how the group is working with Google, for instance, in a project called Techrema. Project is talking about the tongue, how to convert different languages, especially the local languages, translations. So it's a great project that we had a lot of talk about. We also had an overview of engineering, because that's one of it. We're supposed to talk about the role of the School of Engineering Sciences. So I presented on the School of Engineering Sciences, showing the various projects that we actually undertake. We also talk about the energy materials group, where works are being done on battery research, energy storage, as well as cook stoves, clean energy that goes into climate change and sustainability studies. We also demonstrated the practicality of what is being done in the school with a lot of involvement of our students. The highlight was on the projects of conversion of plastic waste into fuels. There were a lot of questions that came on with concerns about whether the system is actually polluting or it's sustainable. We had great interactions on that. And we also talk about the industry academia interaction series that we also do, and share those ideas with the centers that these can be replicated. I think basically that is all that we did across. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. I would like to open floor. If you guys have any reflections at this point, yes, please.
Yeah, so I was saying that I was privileged to attend his session. So we went to the virtual infosec lab that had partnerships with some companies like IBM, Cisco, and Microsoft. So I got a little bit curious because I actually like the model where they partner with those companies to administer trainings and also certifications, international certifications. So I just wanted to find out how your team or your university was able to attract and bring those companies to invest, in such an initiative, because the speaker told us that the students basically get the training for free and even the exams as well, because me, I'm also into IT and I know some of those certifications are very expensive, to write the exams and get the training. So how did your team get to get Microsoft and IBM to invest, and partner with you people? What did you sell to them?
David, would you like to address, or you cannot? Oh, you can, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I think all is your approach to industry, and it's very important. Industry need to build trust in what you do, and we have a lot of investment also in our students, and they see the products that we are putting out there, and this partnership works. But with computer science and that engagement with IBM and Google and all those ones, it's a lot of quality research that has gone into that, and great initiatives that we put, especially in the MOUs that we have, that helps us to do that. But as you know, it's a win-win situation. It's not completely free. What benefit will come to these companies? We need to align that clearly, what the companies are going to benefit. As I mentioned, over 30 students are now working with these companies, which means that it's beneficial to them as well. So they are investing in the training of these students, and that's why they can give it for free, and it has long-term effect.
Thank you, David. Any more questions, please? Or comments? Where? Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I was very impressed by your presentation. I'm particularly happy to see the huge work that you are doing. So keep it up. I would like to know, because you are in charge of this Central Research Office, I don't know the name you call it exactly, but my question is, how do you keep tabs on all the research going on within the university? How do you manage to get to know what is going on in each group? Because I know that what you presented, yes, you spoke more about your own work, your own research group, but I know that, for you to be connecting those researchers with the industry, there is a way you get to know everything that is going on. So how do you do that? Because I'm also from the Central Office of Research of my university, though I'm the Director of Intellectual Property and Technology Transfer Office. So I want to know the structure that you have, or the approach that you are using to ensure that you can connect with all the various researches going on within the university. And then the other thing is that, how favorable do you think your national policy is towards engaging the industry partners? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, David, you would like to address this?
Thank you. We have been deliberate in pushing forward what we call the research agenda. And then we have a research strategy that the university has put in place with all the objectives and even the multidisciplinary priorities that we look at. But we have a structure that we even report on the activities that are going on in the university, the various researches that are that take place. Depending on the project that is being run, some of these projects run through the research office, what we call the Research and Innovation Directorate. So we keep track of the various researches that are being undertaken. We have even decentralized. We've gone to the extent where we have research management systems administration in the various colleges that keep track. So we are able to go down to the levels of the schools, to the levels of departments, to keep track on the research activities that are going on. So that's why we are able to report on these ones. For the industry academia partnerships that we do, what we do is to find the research areas that industry sometimes are interested in. We have a program called Industry Academia Interaction Series, where we bring industry partners into the university. We have all these interactions going on. We identify areas that we can collaborate on, and we are able to link these partners. So we are very aggressive on the front of working with industry as well as working with our policymakers, and then this happens. For policy, it's still ongoing. I would not say it's at the level that we want. We are moving. You don't always wait for the policymakers to come to you. What have we done? What do we have to show? And we get to the policymaker. We convince the policymaker with real evidence. We do evidence-based research that informs policy. Then policy comes in to support. But the talk is still going, and it will improve.
Thank you, David. I'd like to make a comment on the top of what you just said. You know, if one wants to get idea what's going on, you know, at universities with research results, obviously what you're doing is very good. But also, you could every once in a while do technology mapping if you would like, besides research, to detect what technologies are potentially being developed. So you could invite external experts who could do technology mapping, and universities, you know, abroad are doing, international universities are doing this continuously to map potential for technology development. So that's one thing. Do we have any more questions, comments? If not, I would like to, I think this is appropriate time to summarize. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I had to think. You left me without words, so I had to rethink. No, I think you said everything, and I was checking, like doing check, and you said everything. But I would like to say that that's what we sought to do. I had the privilege to visit some centers, to accompany some centers, and I think that there are a common basis of success. And you said everything, like ambition, vision, strategy, commitment, leadership, the links, the partnership, the visibility, the communication. Yeah. So I think I only have two things to add. I was trying to find something, but two things that I would like to add. One is that in the agri sectors, there is a network, Food Forest Africa, and Food Forest Africa, I think it's very important. These kind of networks cannot solve each center problems, but they are extremely important to provide visibility, to international visibility to the centers. So I think these networks are very important. They should be supported because they're doing the common job. I think the bilateral partnerships, this is up to the centers, but it's very, very important to get this common voice in common visibility. And I was talking about the agricultural centers. I was impressed by the work that is done. We had also, it was really a privilege to have you in Lisbon, and there were several people there, mostly from European organizations. I was surprised by the lack of knowledge about the centers, because it's impressive what the centers do and the lack of knowledge. So I think this work on communication, work on visibility is extremely important. So just two things. The one thing is what you said, that creates this virtuous integrated cycle, because it's not money that drives the world. It's strategy and ambition and vision, and that is what creates the capacity to raise money. It's not the other way around. So I think this is also important to say. Of course, in the end, you need the money, but if you get the rest, you'll get the funds. Just to finish, because yesterday we in one of the lists we were told that we forgot the students, yeah? And just not to forget the students, like ages ago, in the previous century, I did a degree in the UK in management, and I was choosing between 5 good top schools in the UK, and I chose London Business School because their claim was transforming futures. And I think this is related to the students, and what is happening here in terms of the young generation and the students is transforming their lives, and this is the privilege to follow and to see what is happening. I've been here for 5 years, and it's amazing what I was able to see. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis. At this point, if there are no more comments or inputs, I would like to summarize for our visiting centers and everybody else a couple points that we could all kind of consider. The centers here, obviously, who are still catching up to receive funding from the World Bank, you would need to actually engage in clinics this afternoon and also communicate with us, each of you, how we can help you, that you could maximize, that you receive your full payment. But what I would like to share with you, the end of February is a deadline by which you need to accomplish all of that. University of Ghana doesn't have a problem with this, but obviously some of you here would need help, and we are here to help you. One thing that it will be important that we jointly consider what is doable in this amount of time for the activities that you did not accomplish so far, so you can still get money. As Namrata said yesterday, whatever funding you don't use goes back to the World Bank, and we don't want that. We want you to use funding. Second, I personally am going to propose to my TTLs, Namrata and Zhao that I'll be available online as much as any center needs input towards their accomplishments of DLI 5.3. So these are short-term things that obviously I wanted to come across. Now let me talk about briefly long-term cooperation that all of us here, centers from Ghana and everybody visiting, and those who did not visit, we did not invite everybody, because some of them, really are performing well, they finished their projects, so in the sense, we thought we wanted to maximize that you guys who still did not finish could gain as much as you can from your colleagues in Ghana. But I told Sylvia that I'd consider that as a long-term cooperation, which is extremely important between the centers, that there should be online platform devoted to innovation, entrepreneurship, where all the patents, and I know you guys have patents, you have some activities that you could put it on. So even investors, so you could exchange, your ideas, your information on this platform. I will be watching your platform, and then we will also have venture capitalists and private sector companies looking into this platform, so it will be available what's going on online. So we can call this innovation and entrepreneurship platform, whatever, we can creatively think. But it will help to exchange information. So one thing that obviously came across, at least to me, and I hope that you guys can reflect, is that high-performing centers can help and provide advisory services to lower-performing centers. I can just give you one example. And I'm not going to name the center, but I took 5 centers of excellence in Leeuwarden, Netherlands, 2 years ago. And one of the centers, our centers, and they did not perform well on DLI 5.3, on innovation and commercialization. They did not have technology transfer office, they didn't have any ecosystem like Ghana does, but they didn't. So in Leeuwarden, this visit ended up with the MOU and understanding how the best European Center of Excellence will help them in water research. This was particular area. And now this center accomplished African Center of Excellence 100% what they were supposed to do. They sent people to Leeuwarden, and Leeuwarden people came to their country. So things could be done. So if you didn't catch up at this point, we'll work with you how to do it in the future. Now, Mami, I don't know if she's here, but Technology Transfer Office people at University of Ghana, I met them several years back. They're very capable. They received training abroad, and of course, continuous training. By the way, they went to, I was told yesterday, they went to ICT in Nairobi last year. So this is very important. The technology transfer people receive training, and they are part of the networks that technology transfer officers have. So Mami and Diana are part of that network in Africa. But then also there are international networks for technology transfer, and maybe we can talk later on how not only University of Ghana can take advantage of this, but also other centers that these people really exchange ideas. For example, Luis is from Portugal. His colleague is the president of the European Network of Technology Transfer Officers. So we are in the position to link you guys with them. Then most of your countries are members of ARIPO. I know for a fact that Ghana is, and others as well. And ARIPO has academy for training in protection of intellectual property and some of these activities that you might need. So you could benefit from universities like Ghana or others who are in good shape with this, but then also from ARIPO, which is essentially African WIPO, World International Patent Organization. Then you also have a WIPO present in your countries. Please, these guys have funding. WIPO has funding. They can provide funding to universities if you need extra training or support in patenting, protecting intellectual property and stuff like that. Use them. Obviously, Madam VC, welcome here today, but one of the things that leadership of universities can do, engage embassies in the countries, because they have funding and they have people and staff who are stationed here in Ghana or any country in Africa, who's supposed to establish good partnership and strong partnership with a bilateral partnership with their own countries. So, and they also have funding. I know for my country, we use it a lot for different activities. And research and education are such a soft ways of establishing bilateral cooperation in different areas. So let's say if, of course, your professors are establishing their own independent collaborations. But from the institutional point of view, inviting ambassadors and having ambassador day here at University of Ghana or any other university, it really is helpful. We got a lot of good output from such activities. And in the end, I would like to re-emphasize one thing. Most of African countries in sub-Saharan Africa actually are participating in PASET platform. Most of your countries. Please check if your country is a member. I know Ghana is, Kenya is, Gambia is not, or whatever, but at least 12 countries. Your government provided funding to RCIF, which is Regional Scholarship Innovation Fund, which is run out of Nairobi. I believe Professor Dankwa or Professor Ijir received this RCIF scholarship. Professor Ijir, Irene Ijir from agriculture here, she was a recipient of RCIF funding. So through this funding that your government is contributing anyway, the World Bank also adds to this funding significant amount of funds, as well as Korean government. So some of the innovation or research-related grants are available through RCIF as well. And health, agri, ICT, energy are topics that they cover. So all of that are possibilities. So anyway, with all of this, I would like to say that we have a task ahead of us to help you short-term, whoever needs help, and you can approach us, and we know exactly, who you are by now, and also long term. So if anybody else would like to add to my list, please do. The AU, do you have any input here, or we are done? Anyway, if nobody has any inputs, I would like to thank you. So I would like to close this session, and then we will go to the closing ceremony, I guess, Sylvia. So are you going to chair this? Yeah, thank you.